Happy Monday afternoon, everybody. My name is Eli Robinson, back in the office with Water Cooler Trivia, bringing you another one of our weekly trivia reviews. What do we do here at Water Cooler Trivia? We are a weekly trivia game for you, your friends, your coworkers, your groups, your organizations to play with each other, and then we show up here on Twitch and YouTube, and we talk about the game every single week. You can find us online at watercoolertrivia.com. You can find me online at Chief Trivia Officer. This week's game, called a Trivial Equinox in the Northern Hemisphere, March 20th, marks the vernal equinox. Yes, it's the beginning of spring, but our astronomical minds also love it, as daytime and nighttime are approximately of equal duration worldwide. As you can see, a little visual representation of the sun at the vernal equinox, or I guess both equinoxes technically. As far as our trivial equinox, we've crafted a trivia game where where questions 1 through 10 have a 2-word answer where each word is the same length as the other, like Santa Claus or Top Gun. As you can see, we had a little fun with the concept of an equinox, and the letters are the same. I don't know. Try to keep things fresh around here in the trivia world. Spring on. So everybody did generally we had very good results here with this week's game. This is the second week in a row that we've had a fairly high average and fairly good scores, perfect scores being the most common of all of them, an average of 8.16 and a median of 8. We won't talk about it here in this video specifically, but we had asked a playwright question. Traditionally, people don't do so well with playwrights in Water Cooler Trivia. We asked it as a multiple choice question, and it turned out people did very, very, very well, like to the tune of 80+%. So we were kind of thinking that question would end up being a differentiator in this week's game, and it turns out that maybe America knows its playwrights a little bit more than others. Or than we would have thought. But here are the two questions we'll take a look at. So the first one, located adjacent to Stanford's campus, what Northern California city has a name meaning tall stick in Spanish in honor of a local 1,083-year-old redwood tree? So the first thing I wanted to call out, and the reason I picked this, is that yes, I learned this. This is an insanely fun fact. There is a redwood tree right next to the train tracks in Northern California that is over 1,000 years old. I guess it turned into Stanford's crest and Stanford's mascot, but I had no idea that it was an actual real tree, which was very cool. And the second thing is the cluing ended up being very helpful, which was kind of an accident. It turns out that there were enough people who know a little bit of Spanish that it's possible that people were able to kind of like engineer what the answer was. So the word for tall in Spanish is alto, and the word for stick in Spanish is palo. So the city in Northern California is Palo Alto, but we saw a whole bunch of people who were seemingly able to get it via intuition, which is awesome, that you don't actually need to know where Stanford is or the tree or whatever it may be, which we're really impressed with people's ability to get this one right. On the other hand, kind of surprise here. So the other question, need the location and team name for the point. Football team was the blunt temporary name of a mid-Atlantic NFL team that finally rebranded to what name in 2022? And we have a big W here. So we've kind of spoken about it quite a bit and belabored the point probably more than we need to about sports in general. Sports are one of those categories that there are some people who know it and there are some people that can't stand it. And if you ask people who know sports, they have no problem with it. And if you ask people who can't stand it, they get really upset. We thought that this question was wide enough that enough people would kind of know the whole Redskins controversy and ultimately what happened with the team. However, it turns out that might not actually be true. The correct rate on this question was only 60%. So we're incredibly conscious of the presence of you know it or you don't questions in sports. We try to be very careful about asking them. We don't ask them particularly frequently, and frankly, we learned something a little bit here that so the team is the Washington Commanders, and I guess we learned that it just wasn't even easy enough or straightforward enough for our group. So we won't stop doing sports questions. That's not kind of in the spirit of what we're doing here at Water Cooler, but we will try to do everything we can to kind of keep them as chewable as possible, because we don't want to intimidate people, and we don't want people to get to a sports question and be like, oh, I don't know any sports. But yeah, it was really surprising that this one actually turned out to be so low. That's our game for this week. Once again, my name is Eli Robinson here with Water Cooler Trivia. Next week, we're back with a Final Four game in honor of March Madness, although it is not basketball themed for those of you who were worried. Until then, keep on tripping them.